Hello everyone and welcome back to Transport Fever and our Let's Build Murchford series. So, when planning today's video, I was trying to have a think, and what I didn't want to do was spend a third video just concentrating on this area. So I thought we'd go to something different and look at the Horseshoe curve. As you can see, we've got our Lindham station, which is Altoona in real life, modelled here, and that's kind of where the tracks end. So the plan today is to connect this up by means of our Horseshoe curve, which will be somewhere in this area, and that will head out in this general direction and connect up somewhere here. We just have a flick to Google Maps. Wait for my system to catch up. So here we have a yard here, which we've modelled. I haven't got that curve in, admittedly, but there's our railroad station there for passengers. If we scroll out, see the track curves around here. Got 90-degree curve, comes up around a few bends, and down here is where, oh, a bit too much zoom, but here we have our horseshoe curve into the trees and continues curving and heads out down here. As you can see, there is 3 tracks here, and that follows pretty much all the way around to down. I believe it's actually all the way up here. Like zooming for some reason today. Yeah, so 3 tracks all the way in, almost to Altoona. Actually, we'll go across over there, and then it becomes 4 tracks. So that is the plan for today's video. It is a rough approximation. It's not going to be exactly the same. We probably won't have Lake Altoona itself, water treatment plant, as we don't have the assets or the reservoir, but certainly we will have a road of some description coming in and horseshoe curve itself, and of course some trees. Can't really have this without trees. As you can see, the track does then take 90-degree bend and continue out towards Tunnel Hill. We won't be doing that. Instead, we'll be just heading straight down. So with all that said, I'm going to catch you up in the time lapse. Bye for now. So here we are, laying our first tracks, heading out of the station. You should have seen it pretty much triple tracks for most of the way. I did bring in the 4 tracks to 3 tracks a bit shorter than it is in real life, just because of general compression. We don't have the space to model this full size, and as I say, it's only an approximation. It's not an exact replica. And right off the bat, I am going to apologise in advance. There is a lot of terraforming in this video, a lot of smoothing. Unfortunately, that can't be helped. That is just the nature of what we're doing here. So hopefully you'll stick with it and see how I sort of go about doing this kind of thing. See, having a few issues there already with the terrain being too high. Trying to bring it up. As you can see, just terraforming, or starting to terraform the land for our actual horseshoe curve itself. This does take quite a bit of time. Anyway, what projects have you been doing? I know quite a few of you actually play this game yourself. So, is there anything exciting you've been doing? Do you just play it vanilla style? As in a straightforward transport management game? Do you do aesthetic like I do, and sort of slim, and also Grand T, of course, with his East Coast map? Talking of Grand T and slim, with my new job, I am actually quite a few episodes behind on both their series. I'm sad to say. I'm hoping sort of this weekend I can catch up a bit. But unfortunately, bills have to be paid. Work will always come first. And the luxury of sitting watching YouTube videos has to come second to that. But as you can see, lots of rough hills going in at the moment. This is where we start to make our gradual descent again. As I say, this bit is completely fabricated. The real route would have diverged on another 90-degree bend and headed off to the right from where we're looking. Although we have a nice gentle curve there, we are heading more back to our original sort of Merchford area, with the eventual plan, of course, to be having through trains and travel from the yard we have at Merchford in both directions through here. You see me just playing around because I had a train that was supposed to come to that depot, wouldn't let me delete it initially, so we had to just fiddle around with the direction of it so we could actually get it deleted. And as you can see, we now have our certainly one end of the track fully connected. Click save there. And with that connection, comes trains. Initially it wasn't going to allow me to put the route in until I was selected the correct platform. Didn't think of the word there. Yes, platform, where trains come. Now for some reason the top one of the two you see there decided that it wasn't going to take the loop and go straight up to Murchford. Instead it went for a nice little jaunt all the way down towards Orton, and eventually went round the fuel terminal, which for some reason has actually broke that route now. I will have to have a look at this between videos. However, that's not too much of a concern at the moment. We can always fix that. So here you see me just trying to level out the ground a little bit. The downside with sort of dragging up the ground is it's not always very smooth, and unfortunately the actual smooth tool doesn't, even though it's on high brush strength, doesn't seem to react as quick as sort of the terrain raising and lowering tools. More general smoothing going on. As I say, I do apologise that there is so much of this in. However, I felt as we're trying to sort of do it in full, and this is such a big part of this project, I didn't want to cut it out and just sort of jump ahead to a completed hill. So at least, if nothing else, it will give you some idea of how much work is involved in trying to create your own sort of landscapes from scratch, if you are working from pretty much a flat page as I was. When we do finally get this a bit more level, we can start adding the trees. There is the roadway still to go in, of course. And hopefully the trains to start running along as well. As you can see, the bottom one of the two has already come through the curve and is now sitting at Lindham Station. Top one, however, is now making its way through the oil refinery, which no passenger train should ever make their way along there. However, that has just highlighted, as I look at it, that there is a section of track along there that isn't low speed, so I do need to go and change that at a later point. Another quick save. Whenever you're using sort of the painter or the tree mod, or indeed the streams, it's always a good idea to save before. Although they should be perfectly stable, especially now with the performance patch, it's just good practice to do. You can see I'm just sort of roughing it out. And in fact, I do get too close on some sections and indeed have to go and delete the trees later, which you will see towards the end of this time-lapse period. However, these mods are such a time saver when doing projects such as this. If I was having to use the traditional style brush, it's probably take me 3 or 4 times as long. You see me sort of already tiring of doing it and just taking a chunk straight across. So some of the corners on the outer edge may be a bit rough. Likewise the terrain. However, I'm mainly concerned with how it looks from track level. Or certainly more closer up if we were to be following a train, say, rather than worrying about the long distance view for now. We can always come back as we're finishing up the map and touch in the further stuff. Indeed, we can add more trees as well. So I imagine by the time we get to that stage, I should have my PC upgrades. Which, talking about those, they are taking a bit longer than planned, purely because of me changing jobs. The job I have now, it is a little less money per hour, however work-life balance is much better, although try and find the time to do these one video a week and still have sort of my own time seems to be quite hard at the minute. So full props to Slim, who of course used to do 12-hour days at work and still managed to put out videos nearly every day. So I have full respect for him managing to do that. As I say, I'm struggling, although there is quite a lot of editing time involved. You do get a appreciation of sort of how much work he puts into it. Even now, with going full time, of course he's having to contact publishers and developers, try and get the latest games to show off. He has also the live streams, which I don't have to worry about. So he's just as busy now as he ever was, if not more so. So you see me put in the road in, put the tunnel in a couple of times there. I believe that that's still not the final version of it. You see me using roads just to a quick rough and ready terraform. Of course, once these are plunked in, quite a simple matter of just smoothing up to make it all level. I say it's simple, it's still time consuming, but doing it this way does cut a lot of work out compared to if you were trying to do all of it by hand. There we go. Let's see, it still does leave quite a few depressions doing it like this. What I could have done was then ran secondary roads over that area, smooth it out even more. However, I think we end up with something pretty usable by the time we're done there. Here you see me just sloping it down, try and make it less noticeable where we've raised to the original ground height. is starting to look much better to my eye, at least. Almost ready for some more trees to go in. They're just raising the ground now, because some of these trees were sitting rather too low for my liking. Should actually look as if they are sitting on a hill. Rather than having sort of a big drop off to the side of the track. This is our final version of the road. Much higher than it was previously. However, still plenty of room to get under tracks and go through a fake mountain. And joining up to the National Road Network. As I say, this road doesn't follow the shape and line the real thing at all. However, that's mainly just down to the compression of the area as a whole. Here we have the car park for the Horseshoe Visitor Centre. And one thing you absolutely cannot do without, so that is actually in the wrong livery. But have your Pennsylvania Railroad logo sort of on display. Coming up towards the end of the time lapse now. Just a few more trees going in, sort of finish this area off, although there is still more work to do. Hello and welcome back to this live section. As you can see, this is general overview of what I've managed so far. Very rough terrain still going on in this area that needs to be fixed. However, we do have our horseshoe curve, albeit very condensed. A road running through. Just need some smoothing to try and sort out this loading texture. And we also have our sort of lindum here. We do need to get rid of this border as well. Although the hope is to kind of put borders up around this end and try and force lindum to grow this way and fill out. I shall be putting some roads in to aid that. Similar to what you've seen me do with Merchford and other places. See, we still have some buildings to go in here. On the subject of that, the comments have sort of really died off of late. I have been asking a few questions what people would like to see. However, I'm not, to be perfectly honest, getting the responses I'd like. Sort of only one or two comments and not specifically reacting to the question. So the question this week is, do you want me to finish off this area in the next video? Or would you prefer me to do as we originally said, bring that line down to connect into here, make our changes here, fix this, which as you can see says we've currently got no line usage on that. I need to look at that. And if we were to do that, we could also finish off that horseshoe curve area, smoothing the land, more trees, that kind of thing, and just generally scenic the line from here to here, essentially. So if you can put down in the comments, vote A or B. So A being Junior to workshops, B being the track down to our oil refinery and horseshoe curve. Also, would like to get some comments on what it is you actually prefer seeing in these videos, or what it is you watch. We are still getting some views, as I say, not the comments. I don't know whether it's that you skip past these live sections and don't hear my commentary, whether you're just sort of browsing to see what I'm doing. Just general information like that tells me what people want to see and what to include in further videos. Anyway, what I'm going to do is hit play and hit that, and we'll go for a little ride along. Of course, this is a work in progress so far. For some reason, trains are taking the wrong track here, so they're taking more of a sort of British stance on that. I am aware that smoothing, of course, there of that track it needs to be done likewise here. Sip of coffee there. Yeah, so it needs some tweaks here and there. Do need some scenery going along here, of course. One lonely tree before we get to the forest doesn't quite cut it. Here we go. So these tracks are bi-directional anyway, so it's not strictly necessary to have trains going in a certain direction. I do need to look and see if it is actually this middle track that's bi-directional, the one on the left as we're travelling, or all three. But that's some research I can do off screen, unless of course you're familiar with the area, and you can let me know. Now up ahead we can actually see the track on the higher level. The idea is to sort of get more trees in and disguise that. Of course, on the real thing you wouldn't be able to just look across and see the hills and track in the distance. It's not the effect we're going for here. Curve round. Here are the trees on the left that you would have seen right at the end of the time-lapse period. Haven't actually checked to make sure that there's no overgrown ones in that area. However, I think we've got away with it fine there. Here we're getting more of the effect I was after, trees sloping down on the left, raising up on the right to give the more realistic effect of that hill. Although I can see I still need to go higher and further. Here we break out into the open, there's our Jeep on the left. Of course, being from the Pennsylvania Railroad that originally built this route. They did have a K4 steam engine there originally, which was taken away for restoration, and so far hasn't actually had that restoration take place. I believe it is in parts pending restoration, so they bought sort of the diesel loco that replaced it just as a display for the Horseshoe curve. Do we get to what is our summit before starting to make our way down again? Here we do need to look at the speeds, of course, because 75 mile an hour wouldn't really be realistic along here, although I may leave it purely for the game mechanics side of it, so the people are more willing to ride. We do need to seal the train a bit more on the trees on the right, as you can see. Of course, we do need trees on the left as well. Down. See, we do have a signal there. There, that may actually be why we routed on middle track, as the game, whenever possible, will choose routes that don't have signals or any kind of means to slow the train down. It does always look shortest route first, then does that route have signals? Is there an alternative that doesn't, that isn't going to take sort of 20 minutes longer to traverse? Here we come. Back on the level now. Lots of smoothing to do in this area, which I may take just a few minutes to run the smoothing tool around this area. As Slim keeps reminding us, it is indeed a smoothing tool, not a levelling tool. I don't think I've ever referred to it as a levelling tool, however other people may well have done, which would be incorrect, and if you're trying to use it as a leveller, you will be there for a long time. Rocking along at 110 mile an hour now. So although overhead it doesn't look like that kind of long route, you can see here it's taken quite a while. I can see NC dot yard in the distance though, so I shan't speed the game up. We are coming towards the end of the journey. Dropping down to 75 here. So we come by. I think this would actually be our first run by of the depot as well. Do need to do some finishing off around this area. Oh, dropping some frames there, I'm not quite sure why. Not sort of any heavy building along here yet. And here we see train heading the other way. And slowing down for the crossover. Just see a bud in the distance, the RDC going over the bridge, which is where we are heading ourselves. Just cruising up the curve, nice and gently. Left track. Bit of flange squeal there. Nothing too harsh, nothing to worry about. And over. Down on our left, of course, you can see subscribers row. Incidentally, if anyone is watching still at this point and would like their own house, just let me know and we'll get you moved in along there with everyone else. So, there we have it. That is our run. And we have got an F40PH phase 3 available. I think we'll stick with that one for now on the route. What I'm going to do is just hold that one. Alright, that's going to wrap this video up. As I say, vote A or B for what you'd like to see in the next video. And until then, goodbye for now.